We're going to take a look here at the business end of the airplane. That's a Saito 300 twin on ignition. Some people think that on ignition means onboard glow, but you can see right there, that's the ignition module. It's a CH ignition. It's digital controlled. If you take a look, there's a pickup there on the flywheel with a magnetic interrupter, and you can see there's spark plugs that the wires go to, and it's controlled digitally. It advances the spark as the RPM picks up. It's just fabulous in terms of reliability. It gives you a nice good power curve. I've got CH ignition on 4 of my big Saitos, and I just love them. It's unfortunate Bill has closed CH ignition down. He's in his 80s and he's had some health challenges, but I'll tell you, anybody that has a CH ignition, they swear by them. So it's all nicely tied in. The module is all foam mounted and wrapped in tape to make it fuel proof. Not that there's much fuel can get in there. And you can also see in here, I've got a smoke system on it. I've got a Sullivan Skyrider pump that's on board, and there the yellow lines are the smoke lines, and they go in to the exhaust. I've got, you can see the T up in there, and then I've got the lines, they go into the exhaust pipes where there's heat, and you can see right there where I put nipples on, and it's a lot of fun. You kick smoke on, and so to see a big pup go by with the smoke system on is kind of a hoot. Anyway, that's the business end of things. I'm going to be putting the cowl back on and starting it up. From the exhaust smoke that it's really running rich. I always like to run my motors rich, and when you're running with ignition, it's not a problem because they really don't foul up that much. As you can see, when this thing is set up and running well, you can actually get the idle at about 1100 to 1000 RPM. Pretty reliable. That's tacking between 1100 and 1000. Anyway, I'm starting to assemble my Balsa USA 1/3 scale Sopwith pup, and it looks harder than it is because it's got all this rigging and everything else. So I'm just making this short video about some of the things I do. When I take it apart, I take the rigging and I actually wrap it around the cabane structure in here and store it up top, and then put it in the cockpit here with the pilot, and I wrap it all and tuck it all up there, and it's a good place to store stuff. And then when I get started, I get my wings. I've got a carrying case that I made out of PVC pipe. It's pretty handy to put them in, and so I get the wings down, get them order, and then I take my rigging and open the rigging, and I lay it out on the ground, and you can see here that I spread it out and try and keep it sort of relatively neat. If you do it in order, it works pretty good. The alignment pins that go in for the upper wing, they go in these holes, and they're off set a bit so you put them in the right holes. So I get them in there and get them ready to go. So anyway, that's sort of my first step, and then what I'm going to do is, as I go through some steps, I'll pick up the video from there. So anyway, this is what she looks like when it's getting ready to go. I've done the same thing on the other side. I've laid out the rigging and got everything ready, got the pins in on the side, and it's not too bad. It takes me about 3/4 of an hour to assemble it completely. The next thing I do is put the lower wings on the plane and just kind of lay them on the ground, set the rigging on top, put the alignment pins in the holes, and then I hook up the servos. And one thing you want to do is you want to make sure your ailerons are working before you get all this rigging and stuff put together, and make sure you got a good tight connection. And because the last thing you want to do once you've got this thing together is find out you didn't have a servo connection done up properly. You'll notice I've got 3 JR charging switches in the cockpit. One's for the ignition, because it's a Saito 300 running on ignition. One is for the receiver, and one is for the smoke pump, because I have a Sullivan Skywriter smoke system in there. And when I hooked them up, I found out that I didn't have my battery charged up. So look what I'm doing. I'm charging a couple of battery packs right now, and once the battery packs are charged up and I can make sure my ailerons and everything are functioning properly, I'll continue with the assembly. I highly recommend that you take the time to make sure the ailerons are working, because once all this rigging and stuff is on there, it's not that quick to pull a wing off and make sure you got a wired connection. So that's just what I've learned over the years. Once I have confirmed that the servos are working, and I have, but you can see I've still got my battery charger on. Once I know the servos are working, then I hook up the lower linkage or the rigging first, and I just do it finger tight. And I raise it and I just keep that, you can see I can wiggle the wing. I just basically keep it loose and lined up so that I can get at it and do it. So I do that on both sides. Well, I've got both the upper and lower wings on. I haven't firmed up the rigging. Everything's just on finger tight. And it's important to note that you put it all on finger tight and get everything so you can move the plane and things like that. And then once I've got it all in, make sure I've got nothing binding or anything, then I go around and I tighten everything. I've got cap head screws on the interplane struts with anti-vibration nuts, so once they're tightened up, you never have to worry that they're going to come loose. It's a easy assembly, disassembly. I always leave the screws and the cap heads or the nuts and everything together.